Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel The War Diary. Please don't forget to subscribe and like my videos, because today we are diving into one of the most dramatic and high-stakes events in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Imagine waking up in the heart of Moscow, a city considered the symbol of Russian power, and hearing the roaring sound of hundreds of engines in the skies above. This wasn't a military parade, it wasn't a celebration. This was a massive strike. Ukraine launched 93 drones in a coordinated assault on Moscow, shaking the Kremlin's confidence and sending shockwaves across the world. This attack is not just about drones, it's about strategy, technology, and psychological warfare. It's about a changing face of modern conflict where small, relatively inexpensive machines can challenge one of the most powerful militaries on Earth. From the outside, this attack looked like a storm of lights scattered across the night sky. The exterior impression was both terrifying and mesmerizing, a display of power and precision that no ordinary citizen could ignore. People recorded videos of glowing streaks of drones flying over rooftops, Russian air defense systems firing missiles, and explosions lighting up the horizon. The exterior perspective of this event shows not only the physical aspect of war, but also the spectacle of technology in action. Moscow's skyline was transformed into a battlefield, and every flash, every explosion, and every intercepted drone became part of the unfolding story of a new kind of warfare. The visual impact was so striking that it forced international media to focus on the growing role of drone technology in Ukraine's strategy, and it revealed the vulnerabilities of Russia's supposedly impenetrable defenses. Now, let's look inside, into the interior of this event, which holds the true depth of the story. The interior perspective is about what happened behind the scenes, the planning, the intelligence, and the execution of this assault. Ukraine's military had to coordinate dozens of unmanned aerial vehicles, ensuring they were launched in waves to overwhelm Moscow's multi-layered air defense systems. The interior of this operation was not just about sending drones into the sky. It was about careful timing, about choosing flight paths, and about integrating information from reconnaissance satellites, field intelligence, and modern communication networks. Inside the control rooms in Ukraine, operators would have been monitoring the drones' positions, adjusting routes, and watching as their small machines penetrated deep into Russian airspace. This interior view reveals the complexity of drone warfare. Machines do not fight alone. They are part of an ecosystem of strategy, intelligence, and human decision-making. For Ukraine, this was not just a military action, but also a symbolic strike, a message that even the heart of Russia is not safe from its reach. The scale of 93 drones shows how far Ukraine has come in adapting to modern technological warfare, turning drones from surveillance tools into effective offensive weapons. The interior story is also about the civilians of Moscow, many of whom woke up to air raid sirens, the sound of explosions, and the realization that their own government could not completely shield them from the consequences of its war. Fear, confusion, and panic spread through social media as residents posted videos and updates, giving the world a first-hand view of what was happening inside the city. This deep interior perspective underscores how war is no longer confined to battlefields. It invades daily life, reshaping the psychology of entire populations. When we talk about performance, this drone assault must be judged not only by numbers but by effectiveness. Out of 93 drones, Russia's Ministry of Defense claimed that most were intercepted. Yet the fact that so many drones reached Moscow's skies already marks a performance success for Ukraine. The drones were not large, not heavily armed, but they were fast, coordinated, and effective in overwhelming radar systems. Their performance demonstrates how asymmetrical warfare works. A nation with fewer resources can still challenge a more powerful adversary by using technology smartly. Performance is also about endurance. These drones traveled long distances from Ukrainian territory, crossing hundreds of kilometers of Russian defenses. Their ability to reach Moscow shows an impressive level of range and capability. In addition, their synchronized timing increased the pressure on Russian anti-aircraft crews, forcing them to divide their focus and firepower. Even if many drones were shot down, the psychological performance of this attack cannot be denied. It showed the world, and more importantly, it showed Russian citizens, that Moscow is vulnerable. Safety features may sound ironic when talking about weapons, but in this context, safety refers to the protective measures each side employs. For Ukraine, safety meant programming drones to fly low and fast, minimizing the chance of detection. It meant using decoys and sending drones in waves so that some could break through while others drew defensive fire. For Russia, safety features came in the form of air defense systems, surfaced, where missiles, radar-guided guns, and electronic warfare tools designed to jam or disable drones. However, the effectiveness of these safety features is in question. While Russia managed to intercept many drones, it could not stop all of them, which proves that even advanced safety systems have weaknesses. On a broader scale, safety also connects to the civilians in Moscow. Despite the massive assault, reports suggest that most drones were intercepted before causing large-scale damage, preventing significant civilian casualties, yet the sense of safety for Moscow's population was shattered. The idea that drones could penetrate so deeply into Russian territory made people question whether their government could truly protect them. Unique selling points of this assault are clear. First, the sheer number 93 drones in one coordinated strike set this apart from previous attacks. Second, the psychological impact was profound, sending a message to both domestic and international audiences that Ukraine is capable of bold, large-scale operations. Third, the cost-effectiveness of drones versus traditional missiles highlights a major shift in warfare. For the price of one advanced missile, Ukraine can launch dozens of drones, making this strategy sustainable and efficient. Fourth, the assault targeted not just military positions but also the image of Moscow as an untouchable fortress, breaking a long-standing myth of Russian security. And finally, the global media attention it generated turned this event into a propaganda victory for Ukraine, showing that even without matching Russia's vast military power, Ukraine can still strike at its core. When we talk about price, we are not only referring to the cost of drones but also the broader cost of war. Each drone may cost anywhere from a few thousand to tens of thousands of dollars, depending on its design, range, and payload. Compared to multimillion-dollar missiles or fighter jets, drones are relatively cheap. This makes the price-to-impact ratio very favorable for Ukraine. Launching 93 drones might have cost Ukraine a few $1,000,000 at most, but the impact in terms of global attention, psychological pressure, and military disruption was far greater. On the other hand, the price for Russia is measured differently. Defending Moscow against these drones required expensive interceptors, advanced radar systems, and a constant state of alert. Moreover, the price also includes the damage to Moscow's reputation as a secure capital, the fear instilled in its population, and the political cost for the Kremlin. In war, price is not just financial. It's also psychological and political, and in this case, Ukraine extracted a high price from Russia with relatively low investment. In conclusion, the 93rd drone assault on Moscow represents a turning point in modern warfare. From the exterior spectacle of glowing machines in the night sky, to the interior complexity of planning and execution, to the performance of drones that challenged a superpower, this event will be studied for years to come. Safety features on both sides were tested, unique selling points were demonstrated, and the price of war was revealed in both material and psychological terms. For Ukraine, this was a message of resilience and innovation. For Russia, it was a reminder that even great powers can be vulnerable. The conclusion we must draw is clear. The age of drones has fully arrived, and no city, no matter how fortified, can consider itself untouchable. This event forces the world to rethink what modern conflict looks like, and it underscores the urgent need for nations to adapt to new realities of warfare. The drone strike on Moscow is more than just an attack. It is a sign of how wars of the future will be fought, and how the balance of power can shift through technology, strategy, and determination.